Alright, what's going on, guys? Boy TG, welcome back to another video. So in this video, we are going to break down what NHL teams should get for Christmas. As you guys don't know, it's Christmas. Well, as I'm recording this video, it's Christmas Eve, but it's soon to be Christmas though. We are just going to go through this video and see what NHL teams should get for Christmas. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. As soon as this loads. Okay, so first and foremost, Merry Christmas, guys, and Happy Holidays. Like I said, as I'm recording this video, it is Christmas Eve. But hopefully, you guys have a great time with your family, your friends. Hopefully, you get some lasagna, some turkey. You have a big meal to eat. Hopefully, you get some banana pudding, sweet potato pie, or pound cake for dessert. Drink some eggnog, all that good stuff. Also, while you're watching this video, make sure to follow the Hockey Talk with TG podcast on all your podcast stream platforms. So Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, all that good stuff. It airs every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 11:30 a.m. to noon Central Time. And also make sure to get a Hockey Talk with TG podcast a 5-star rating, mostly so you can go out there to other people. Other people can hear about it. Other people can tune into it. I really do appreciate that as well, all your support. So make sure you go do that while you're watching this video. So first thing that the Anaheim Ducks need. I know a lot of people have been saying this late, but they need a new coach. I mean, so far not looking so bad. They're 3-2-0 in their past 5 games, 13, 16, and 14 of the season. They're 7th in the division. They're currently in the rebuild. And the defensive pairs, this was another thing I was kind of thinking that they might get for Christmas, like new defensive pairs. So this was up there with getting a new head coach. As you guys know, the Anaheim Ducks traded Cam Fowler to the St. Louis Blues. They got him back for a prospect. And then before that trade, we saw Jacob Trouba go to the not New York Rangers. We saw Jacob Trouba get traded from the New York Rangers to the Anaheim Ducks. So they can really use an upgrade on their defensive pairs. All in all, even though that they're in a rebuild, I probably won't, put too much pressure on the Ducks since they're in a rebuild. A young team, they're trying to, find their way and stuff. And I have all and I should know because the Blackhawks, you guys know I'm a fan of the Blackhawks. As you listen to the Hockey Talk TG podcast, you heard me say on there a bunch of times. So yeah, I'm a Blackhawks fan. We are currently in the rebuild. I stay up to date on the Blackhawks and basically all Chicago sports. So I should know uh, that the Ducks are in the rebuild because we're currently in rebuild. We currently have some young talent on our team. Ducks have some young talent on our team, but the defensive pairs really have got to use some work. But I got to say, Racco Gudis and Jacob Trouba, they're like the Bash brothers. Even though they're not on the same defensive pair, they're kind of like the Bash brothers, the Anaheim Ducks. You guys don't know that it's a reference to the Mighty Ducks movie with Gordon Bombay. Anyway, moving on. So Boston Bruins. So we need to see some more secondary scoring from the depth players. 19-13-4 of the season, 11-4-1 under Joe Sacco since they made that coaching change. They're third in the Atlantic Division. They won 4 of their past 5 games heading into the Christmas break, recently coming off of a win over the Washington Capitals. Brad Marchand, he leads the team in goals with 15. David Pastrnak leads the team in assists with 23 and points with 35. But we're not seeing that, second score or, that much score in general from the depth players. It's usually like this top line going to work. And of course, Brad Marchand, who's going to be representing Team Canada for the 2025 NHL Four Nations Face-Off event. He's currently doing the work on that second line, but we need to see more from like guys like Elias Lindholm, Chari Coyle, possibly Justin Brazeau. We could see something from Oliver Wahlstrom. I know the Bruins picked them up on waivers for the New York Islanders, so we need to see some more of that secondary scoring from the depth players in general. So that could be something that they can use for Christmas. Buffalo Sabres. So I heard a lot of Sabres fans saying this. The Sabres need a new owner, new GM. That's why I put this there. 12, 19, and 4 this season. The last in the division. 30th in the league. Recently came off of a 7-1 blowout win over the New York Islanders. So, and to me, this kind of shocked me. But hey, you got to know, Sabres coming into that game, they were on a 13-game losing streak. Probably the second longest losing streak in their franchise history. I really don't know because I'm not a Sabres fan. Um, but they were coming into this game on the 13-game losing streak. And we saw the fight between Tage Thompson and Morgan Riley the other night in Buffalo when the Maple Leafs were taking on the when the Maple Leafs were taking on the Buffalo Sabres. We saw the fight between Tage Thompson and Morgan Riley in that game. We saw Austin Matthews go down. So the Buffalo Sabres, they were kind of getting angry, kind of getting upset. They were on a losing streak. They need to change something. So they said, you know what? We're going to enter Long Island. We're going to enter this game. We are going to play like it's tomorrow. We are going to shut this team out, even though they didn't shut them out. But we are going to give all that we got in this game. We're going to put this thing to bed. We're going to end this long 13-game losing streak. And that's what they did. 7-1 win over the Islanders. Rasmus Dahlin, he had 4 assists in that game. Yuri Kulich had a goal and actually 2 goals and 1 assist with 3-point night. Tage Thompson, he also scored in that game. Jack Quinn, Jason Zucker. So that team was like, you know what? We ending this losing streak right now. And that's what they did. And as you see right there, Tage Thompson leads the team in goals with 17 and points with 26. Rasmus Dahlin leads the team in assists with 17. And there was also, during this losing streak for the Buffalo Sabres, P.S., that win over the New York Islanders was their first win in over a month. The last win entering that game was on November 23rd against the San Jose Sharks, which was Joe Thornton retirement night. And that was a 4-2 win that the Buffalo Sabres had in that game. But there was also trade rumors about Dylan Cousins going somewhere. Like, if they decide to trade Dylan Cousins, wouldn't mind getting him to Chicago Blackhawks because, like I said, we have some young talent already from our young players like Connor Bedard, Frank Nazar, Kevin Korchinski, Lucas Reichel. Adding Dylan Cousins will be another player with lots of talent. So I wouldn't mind the Blackhawks getting him if they, choose to get him. I mean, Kyle Davidson hasn't made any trades recently. Would like to see him go out and get Dylan Cousins. But yeah, Sabres could use a new owner, new GM if things don't, go out well. But hopefully this win, even though at the 12, 19 and 4 of the season, hopefully they can go on a little bit of a winning streak, but we'll just have to see. But I know a lot of fans have been complaining about their needing to be a new owner and a new GM, so that's why I put this. All right, Calgary Flames. So Dustin Wolf breakout year. So I would love to see a breakout year for Dustin Wolf. I kind of put it in air quotes because I don't know if some of you guys might agree with this or, the way that I'm saying it. But the Flames, they're 16, 11, and 7 of the season, 1 point out of a wild card playoff spot in the Western Conference. And you should take a look at Dustin Wolf's stats. He is 10, 5, and 2 of the season with a 2.80 goals against average and a .910 save percentage in 17 games. 2 shutouts this season. He's won his last 2 starts. He started in all 17 of those games. And you should take a look at the other 2 seasons from Dustin Wolf. 7-7-1 with a 3.16 goals against average and a .893 save percentage in 17 games. He's only started 15 of those games. And in the season before that, 1-0-0 with a 1.00 goals against average and a .958 save percentage. So I feel like that this is his year. He could use some more starts between him and Dan Vladar. So I feel like why not start Dustin Wolf more, have him win a couple of games, and probably have this be his best season so far in his career. Now, before I get into the Carolina Hurricanes and the other teams, one thing I want to know, I'm just going to go, since I'm talking about all 32 teams here, I'm just going to go short and concise with these. So I'm not going to get into too much depth for each of the teams that I'm discussing about. I'll try and make this short and sweet and concise. So that's what I'm trying to do as I go through this PowerPoint. Because like I said, I'm discussing all 32 teams. But for the Carolina Hurricanes, one thing we need to see is some consistent goaltending. So I'm not saying it like it's a bad thing. Hurricanes are already doing good, as always. 21, 12, and 1 of the season, the third in the Metropolitan Division. Freddie Anderson, before he went down with an injury, he was 3-1 and 0 with a 1.48 goals against average and a .941 save percentage in 4 games. He started all 4 of those games. His last start was on October 26th against the Seattle Kraken, which was a 4-1 win for Carolina over Seattle. You should take a look at Pierre Kochetkov, his stats from this season: 14, 6, and 0 with a 2.43 goals against average and a .903 save percentage in 21 games. Of course, he started all 21 of those games. He has one shutout this season, so he's been, the net minor, like the backbone type for the Carolina Hurricanes. So he's been tremendous in that. So has Dustin Tokarski. You take a look at his stats: 1-1-0 with a 2.51 goals against average and a .904 save percentage in 2 games. He started both of those games. If the Hurricanes can keep this up, I know usually it's Freddie and Pierre in net, but Freddie's out with an injury, so it's Pierre Kochetkov and Dustin Tokarski. Of course, they called up Dustin Tokarski from the Chicago Wolves to the AHL. I believe he did play for the Chicago Wolves before playing with Carolina. But if they get some more of this consistent goaltending and stay solid, even though that Freddie's out with an injury, should make the playoffs, no doubt. But yeah, I'm not saying it like it's a bad thing, because Carolina, as always, the Hurricanes are going to do good. They're going to make the playoffs. So, yeah, not a bad roster for the Carolina Hurricanes. So don't make it seem like I'm saying it's a bad thing, because I'm not. But all I'm saying is it just needs to keep up with this like this and needs to have consistent goaltending. That's all I'm saying. Chicago Blackhawks. One thing I would say, I was kind of torn by whether it should be more consistency on the sourcing or help for Connor Bedard. So I was kind of torn with this because, like I told you guys, I'm a Blackhawks fan. I stay up to date on all Chicago sports. I'm a Chicago guy. I follow all my Chicago sports, so I try to stay up to date on that. And I was kind of torn whether they should get more consistency on the sourcing or help for Connor Bedard. But if you take a look at Connor Bedard's stats, he has 30 points in 35 games played this season, so 9 goals, 21 assists for 30 points in 35 games played. He did kind of had a slumpish kind of start to his sophomore season in the NHL. He was kind of struggling a little bit throughout the season. Fortunately, he's not on the 2025 NHL Four Nations Face-Off roster for Team Canada, but certainly having, after that slumping start, he certainly started to, come back to his old self again. And the Blackhawks, the 12, 21, and 2 this season, 8th in their division. And before they fired Luke Richardson, they were 8, 16, and 2. They're currently 4, 5, and 0 on the Sorensen. And as you see right there, Ryan Donato, he leads the Blackhawks in goals with 11. And Connor Bedard leads the Blackhawks in assists with 21 and points with 30. So, like I've been noticing all season long from the Blackhawks, I mean, they will score first, and then, they blow the lead. But then they would come back and make it a 1-goal game, or come up clutch with some late goals. But then they don't get that big finish. And as I was watching the Minnesota Wild and Chicago Blackhawks game the other night, I heard Rick Ball, I heard Darren Pang saying this on the Chicago Sports Network podcast. I mean, not podcast, on the channel. And they said the same thing I'm kind of saying right now. I mean, we've seen the Blackhawks, score first, and then they fumble with the lead, and then they get one late, but then they don't, get that big finish, and they don't get the job done in that game. And I would love to see that, you know, improve and, get that big finish, play hard, play strong, come out with the win, and do great on the sourcing, which they are, despite them being 4-5-0. But we need to see that big finish from the Chicago Blackhawks. So that's all I'm saying for that. Moving on to the Colorado Avalanche. So one thing I need to see from the Avalanche is some stable goaltending from the Woods. So kind of funny title right there, stable goaltending from the Woods. But as you see right there, the Avalanche are 21-15-0 this season. And you should take a look at their stats from the new goaltenders, because of course they traded both their goaltenders away. They traded Alexander Georgiev to the Sharks for Mackenzie Blackwood, and they traded Eustace Anwin to the Nashville Predators for Scott Wedgwood. And if you take a look at their stats with the Colorado Avalanche, Mackenzie Blackwood is 3-1-0 with a 2.03 goals against average and a .931 save percentage in 4 games played. He's starting all 4 of those games. Scott Wedgwood, he's 4-2-0 with a 1.93 goals against average and a .932 save percentage in 6 games. He started 5 of those. He's only had 1 shutout, which of course was in his debut with the Avalanche against the New Jersey Devils. I believe that was a 4-0 shutout win for the Colorado Avalanche in that game. So if we see some of this consistent effort from this goaltending, the Avalanche back in the playoff spot just like that. I think they're currently third in the Central Division. So the 2 new additions for the goalies coming in well for Colorado. So not really bad, but hope to see them keep up this great effort. And I think the goaltending wants to move, because I know some fans were complaining about Alexander Georgiev being the problem at the start, because you got to remember the Avalanche started the season 05. Was it 05-0 or 04-0? I'm not sure, but they started off the season to a bad start. And I know some fans were complaining about Alexander Georgiev, and he was the problem for the team. And the Avalanche general manager Joe Sakic made that move, traded him to the San Jose Sharks for Mackenzie Blackwood, and these new acquisitions of the goalies are certainly doing well for the Avalanche, and hopefully they keep up this momentum. All right, so Columbus Blue Jackets. One thing I want to see is the breakout year from the Blue Boys, and what I mean by that is both Adam Fantilli and Ken Johnson played for the University of Michigan. They played for the Michigan Wolverines. As you guys know, if you did go to the University of Michigan or are an alumni there, you will know that the hashtag is Go Blue. And we could see some possible breakout seasons from Adam Fantilli and Kent Johnson. Of course, as you see right there, Adam Fantilli, he has 14 points in 35 games played, 6 goals, 8 assists for 14 points in 35 games. Kent Johnson has 20 points, 21 games played, 10 goals, 10 assists for 20 points in 21 games played. So still has some time to rack up some points, rack up some goals, rack up some assists for a breakout season. Kirill Marchenko right there, he leads the team in goals with 13, assists with 24, and points with 27. Columbus is currently 14, 15, and 16 of the season, so still trying to find their way, but I would love to see some breakout seasons from Adam Fantilli and Ken Johnson. Hopefully they can get it done. All right, Dallas Stars. So one thing that the Dallas Stars, their fans are most likely wanting to see is Tyler Seguin coming back to the lineup. And like I said last season when the Stars went up against the Edmonton Oilers in the Western Conference Final, that they have a lot of depth on their team. They still do have a lot of depth on their team. But I think getting somebody like Tyler Seguin back in their lineup will be even huge for the Dallas Stars. As you see right there, they're currently 20-13-0 this season, second place in the wild card spot with 40 points. They're fourth in the Central Division. And as you take a look at Tyler Seguin's stats, he last played against the Winnipeg Jets on December 1st, but he has 20 points in 19 games played, 9 goals, 11 assists with 20 points in 19 games played. So really looking for the Dallas Stars to get him back in the lineup. Hopefully he gets off of injury soon, because he's been out for quite a while. All right, so for the Detroit Red Wings, some defensive help. So the Red Wings are currently 13-17-2 the season, 2-3-0 the last 5 games, coming off of a 4-0 shutout loss to the St. Louis Blues at home. They're 3-6-1 in their last 10. And if you take a look at the offense, not a bad offense from Detroit. I really do like this top 6. These 2 lines are solid, great lines. I really do like this line with Alistair Brinken and Patrick Kane, of course, 2 former Chicago Blackhawks right there. Played 5 seasons, I believe, in Chicago with the Blackhawks before DeBrincat got traded to the Senators and, eventually coming to his hometown, Detroit Red Wings. But if you take a look at the defensive appearance, I'm not really seeing that much. All I see is more Seider, and that's it. Like, the bottom 6, I'm not liking that. Like, I'm not liking that bottom six. I'm not really seeing that much from the bottom six. All I'm seeing is Moist Sider kind of stepping up for Detroit right there. Of course, he did win the Calder in his rookie season. So, key piece for Detroit's future. But other than that, I'm not really seeing that much from Detroit's defense, and they desperately need some help on the blue line and on the back end. So that could be a Christmas present for the Detroit Red Wings. And like I said, I'm trying to be short and concise with each team because, like I said, it's all 32 NHL teams I'm going through in this PowerPoint. So I'm trying to be short and concise with this. Edmonton Oilers. So one thing that the Edmonton Oilers could use for Christmas is another Stanley Cup run to the Stanley Cup final. As you guys don't know, the Edmonton Oilers had a Cinderella Stanley Cup run to the finals last season, and just a Cinderella run in general, because of course, last season they started off on a bad note. They fired Jay Woodcroft. They hired Chris Comblock as the new head coach. Hopefully, I pronounced that last name right. I know some people were saying in the comments I didn't pronounce that last name right, but hopefully I did this time. Of course, he used to coach Connor McDavid of the Erie Otters in the OHL. I believe it was the Erie Otters. He used to coach Connor McDavid. I could be wrong. But the Oilers so far 22-11-2 this season, the second in the Pacific Division. And we could see the same thing that we saw from the Florida Panthers. Of course, the Panthers made it to the Stanley Cup Final in 2023. They lost the Stanley Cup Final to the Vegas Golden Knights. A year later, they won the Stanley Cup. Oilers are hoping for another same run. They lost in the Stanley Cup Final to the Florida Panthers in 2024. 2025, they're hoping to win a Stanley Cup and, of course, breaking Canada's 30-plus year long Canadian Cup drought. Of course, the last team to win the Stanley Cup for Canada was the Montreal Canadiens. They got it done in 1993 against the LA Kings. So, of course, Edmonton is looking to break that long Canadian Stanley Cup drought. And they were so close to doing it in the Stanley Cup Finals last season. Of course, they came back from 3-0 down. They forced the game 7, and they were right there. They were right there. And after that Sam Reinhart game-winning goal in the Stanley Cup Final that made it 2-1 in the second period, that was all she wrote. And so the Oilers are hoping to have another Stanley Cup run similar to that, getting back in the Stanley Cup Final, finishing the job, finishing the story, as you like to call it, as Cody Rhodes likes to call it. If you watch WWE, um, Cody Rhodes finished his story at WrestleMania, beating Roman Reigns. Oilers are hoping to finish their story of this season, winning the Stanley Cup after coming oh so close to winning it last season and forcing the Game 7 in the Stanley Cup Final. And just losing. But Conor McDavid did take home the Conn Smythe Trophy, but he didn't come out for that. All he cared about was the Stanley Cup. And so they're looking to have another Stanley Cup run similar to that Stanley Cup Final. Any of you Oilers fans want to elaborate on what I'm saying, just leave a comment down below. So, yeah. All right, so the Florida Panthers, their Christmas gift is to be back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. So, of course, they had a great run to the Stanley Cup final last season after losing in the Stanley Cup final in 2023 to the Vegas Golden Knights. They look to become the first team since the Tampa Bay Lightning to be back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. As you see right there, the 22-12-2 of the season, first in the Atlantic Division. And I really do see the Panthers going back to the Stanley Cup final and defending their title, defending the Stanley Cup and hoping to, win their second Stanley Cup in franchise history after winning their first Stanley Cup last season against the Edmonton Oilers. So they're looking to become back-to-back Stanley Cup champs. And, of course, taking home the President's Trophy, which is going to be impossible. She got teams like the Winnipeg Jets, Minnesota Wild, and Washington Capitals in the way. Up next, we got the LA Kings. So the LA Kings, their Christmas gift will be a playoff series win over the Edmonton Oilers. So they probably won't meet in the playoffs again if these two teams make it to the playoffs, which no doubt that they will. They probably won't meet in the playoffs this season, but we'll just have to see. We'll just have to see at the end. But in total, they have met in the playoffs 10 times, and the Oilers have won the last 6 meetings. The Kings' last playoff win over the Edmonton Oilers was in 1989. The Oilers and Kings have met in the playoffs 3 straight times, and the Oilers have won all 3 of those playoff series. So in 2022, they won. 2023, they won. 2024, they won. I believe 2 of those playoff series have gone to game sevens, and one of them went to 5 games. And the Oilers have won all 3 of those playoff series. All right, Minnesota Wild. So I couldn't really think of nothing for the Minnesota Wild considering the work that they have done this season, and they're really, one of the top 10 teams to watch in the league. As you see right there, they're fifth in the league. So I couldn't really think of nothing, but I just said to remain one of the top 5 teams in the league. 21-10-4 of the season. They're second in the Central Division, and they're fifth in the league right there. As you see, the Wild have on their away jerseys at home. I think that was that whiteout game that they were having against the Nashville Predators, and Jared Spurgeon has scored the game-winning goal in that game. So, yeah. For the Montreal Canadiens, one thing I would love to see, surges from their young players, which we kind of have already seen so far this season, so it was kind of tough for me to think about this one. But we already have seen some of that effort from the young players. Currently 14, 17, and 3 of the season. And as you see right there, Cole Caulfield, who I'm hoping has a breakout season. He leads the team in goals with 17. Nick Suzuki leads the team in assists with 24 and points with 35. And Lane Hudson, he has 26 points in 34 games. He's currently second in points among rookies. 2 goals, 24 assists for 26 points in 34 games played for Lane Hudson. So just need to see some more of that effort from the Canadians' young players, and they certainly do have a lot on that team from Cole Caulfield, Nick Suzuki, Lane Hudson, Juraj Slavkovsky, Kirby Dopp, who's currently out with an injury, and more after that. So, yeah. And then Nashville Predators. Their Christmas gift can be the season turning around. So, of course, the Predators started off the season 0-5-0. They're 4-5-1 in the last 10 games. They so far they won 2 straight games. So that's something for the Preds fans. And they're currently 11-17-7 of the season. So heading into 2025, we need to see a new Nashville Predators team that we did during this first half of the NHL season. We need to see a new Predators team. So I'm hoping. Well, actually, I really don't care because I'm not a Predators fan. But the Predators, they could turn the season around because, quite frankly, we didn't expect the Preds to start out like this. I mean, like, they added Steven Stamkos, they added Jonathan Marchessault, they added Brady Shea, they added Scott Wedgwood before they traded him to Colorado in the offseason. And they started off on a bad note, surprisingly. And if you guys saw my bold predictions video before the season had started, I expected this team to finish at least third in the Central Division, or probably fourth, either third or fourth in the division. I didn't expect them to be like, what are they, seventh place in the Central Division? I didn't expect that from them. I expected them to be at least finishing third or fourth in the Central Division heading into the season. And it's not looking that way so far. So I'm hoping. So 2025, we need to see a new, fresh Nashville Predators team. We don't need to see the same slumping Predators team that, started off the season on a bad note. So, yeah. All right, New Jersey Devils. I couldn't really think of nothing for this one because I really do like how the Devils are doing this season. They're currently 23, 11-3 this year. They shockingly missed out on the playoffs last season. And at the start of this season, I said the Devils will make it to the playoffs, and it's certainly looking that way so far. And I just said Jacob Markstrom, he needs to keep rolling. Just keep rolling. Just keep rolling. Kind of like how Finding Nemo is just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. For Jacob Markstrom, it's just keep rolling. So he needs to continue playing like this. You should take a look at his stats. He's 18-6-2 with a 2.12 goals against average and a .912 save percentage. Of course, he's coming in. He was acquired by the Devils in that Flames trade in the offseason. And, of course, he had a bad year in Calgary And of course, that was because he had no defense in front of him. But he's certainly having a great year in New Jersey with the New Jersey Devils. So hoping he keeps that up. All right, so New York Islanders, special teams help. So the Islanders, after getting blown out by the Buffalo Sabres on Monday, they're currently 13, 15, and 7 of the season. They're last in the Metropolitan Division, and their power play and penalty kill is last in the league. And last in the league with 12% right there. And their penalty kills last in the league with 64.4%. You should take a look at their power play units. Not really seeing that much from their power play units, to be honest. No wonder it's last in the league. And I'm not hating on Islanders fans, but I'm just saying the facts. That power play is not looking too strong for me. That penalty kill, not looking too strong for me. So no wonder why it's last in the league, but I just want to show you guys. Of course, I got these off from the Daily Faceoff website. And all I'm seeing is some key players on that first power play unit. Brock Nelson, John Gabriel Padro, he's probably step up for the Islanders. Noah Dobson on that back end. Second power play unit, I pretty much like the second power play unit over the first power play unit, to be honest. So that second power play unit is not bad. That first power play unit is kind of like a solid-ish power play unit, but I would take the second one over the first one any day of the league. So that second power play unit is something. So I really do like that over the first one. I feel like the first one is solid, but the second one is kind of like a better power play unit. Their penalty kill, taking a look at their penalty kill, is solid as well, but it's not putting up any work. So yeah, they really need some help on their special teams. All right, for the New York Rangers, mid-season turnarounds. The Rangers didn't expect them to start out like this. They're 16, 17, and 1 of the season, 1-4-0 in their past 5 games, 4-13 and 0 in their last 17 games. And we could see some possible changes for the New York Rangers. Of course, they traded their captain, Jacob Trouba, to the Anaheim Ducks recently. Well, not recently, but like a few weeks ago, maybe like a month ago. So we could see a possible trade for Chris Kreider. Of course, he was scratched in that game against the New Jersey Devils, which was a 5-0 shutout loss. And of course, according to Peter Laviolette, in that game, he said it was just a quote unquote lineup decision. And Matt Rempe recently was suspended for 8 games for boarding and elbowing Mio Haskin. Like I said on my Hockey Talk TG podcast, I know some of you guys probably might not agree when I say this, but Matt Rempe kind of like the Doug Glott of hockey. And no, really, I didn't really like Goon as much. Not my favorite hockey movie, but I know some of you guys may disagree and say Goon is a great hockey movie to me, and it seemed like it was great. Like some of my favorite hockey movies are Mighty Ducks. Of course, I watched that as a kid. I like Young Blood. I like Slapshot. I like Miracle, but Goon just wasn't it for me. um, and then there was a new hockey movie I liked on Tubi called Wild Bunch on Ice. I really did like that. You guys should watch it if you haven't. It's a really good hockey movie. Kind of reminds me of Mighty Ducks, sort of, but not really. So yeah, but yeah, Matt Rempe, all I see this kid do is just fight, 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 and lay hits, 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 hits. Like he's not playing like hockey. He's not playing like uh actual hockey. Like that's why I kind of say he's like the Doug Glott of hockey. So yeah. But I'm not hating on the kid. I mean, I really think having a physical player on your team is much needed. So he really fits that for the New York Rangers. So not really hating on him. I really do like how well he's not playing like actual hockey, like I said, but it's great to have a physical guy on your team nonetheless. So I'm not trying to hate on him. But would love to see him play some hockey for a change instead of just drop the gloves every few seconds and lay a bunch of hits. All right, for the Ottawa Senators, they need to maintain that wild card spot. They currently hold the second wild card spot in the Eastern Conference. 18-14-2 of the season so far. They won four of their last 5 games. They won 8 of their last 10 games. And going into that game against the Edmonton Oilers, they won like what, five, 6 straight games. Going into that game against the Edmonton Oilers for the Christmas break, and which of course the Oilers ended their winning streak in that game. But they were like red hot, and currently they're in the wild card spot in the Eastern Conference. And if you take a look, Brady Tkachuk, he leads the team in goals with 16. Tim Stützle leads the team in assists with 28 and points with 39. So that first line really going to work for the Ottawa Senators. The second and third line has stepped up in some occasions. So we really have seen some of that scoring depth from that second line and that third line, sort of. So the defense for the Ottawa Senators, really great. Love that defensive pair. Kind of and absolutely better than Detroit Red Wings. Excuse me if I'm stuttering my words. Absolutely better than Detroit Red Wings. Their defense pair is not bad. I love their offense. They have a great offense, and that explains why the Ottawa Senators are doing the way that they're doing, finishing second in that wild card spot. All right, for the Philadelphia Flyers, so we need to see a decent starter and a decent backup. Flyers are 15-16-4 the season. They're fifth in the Metropolitan Division, currently 4 points out of a playoff spot. And you should take a look at some of the goalie stats for this season. Samuel Eriksson, he's 7-6-2 with a 3.28 goals against average and a .872 save percentage. Alexei Kolosov, 4-6-1 with a 3.34 goals against average and a .878 save percentage. And Ivan Fedotov, he's 4-4-1 with a 3.49 goals against average and a .877 save percentage. So not very good stats. Not good stats at all. And so the Flyers, they need to go. They need to have a decent starter, a great starter, and then they need to have a solid, decent backup goalie. That's all they need for their Christmas present. All right, Pittsburgh Penguins really couldn't think of nothing for here, to be honest. But all I said was for Tristan Jarry to have a decent season. Penguins are currently 16-15-5 of the season, and Tristan Jarry, he's 8-5-2 with a 3.47 goals against average and a .885 save percentage. I know he spent some time in the AHL this season as well, so he's been down to the AHL. He's been called up to the NHL, and it's just been a goaltending situation for the Pittsburgh Penguins. And all I'm saying is for Tristan Jarry to have a solid, good season. I know Alston Delkovich is currently the Penguins' backup goalie. And Joel Blomqvist, he's played some games for Pittsburgh, but he's currently in the AHL. And Tristan Jarry, I kind of like Tristan Jarry out of the goaltenders that the Penguins have. No disrespect to the other ones. No disrespect to Joel Blomqvist. I really think he's a solid, good goaltender in the AHL, and he's going to get his time. Well, he's already played some games for the Penguins this season, but he could, somehow develop into that starting goaltender role. You guys know what I mean. But all I'm asking for is a decent season from Tristan Jarry. So, yeah. All right, for the San Jose Sharks, Macklin celebrating for callers. So, of course, that's what Sharks fans are hoping for. But really, in my opinion, I think Matej Michkov is going to take on the Calder Trophy, no doubt. But for Sharks fans, I know they're hoping for Macklin celebrating to take on the Calder. Macklin celebrating currently my second favorite rookie to watch this season. Of course, the first one is Matej Michkov, but I do like watching Macklin celebrating too. And I would have loved to see him score in his hometown of Vancouver. It was nice having, his family and friends out in attendance in that game. Would have loved to see the Sharks winning that game too against the Canucks, but they lost 4-3. And Macklin celebrating was held without a goal. He did manage to get 2 assists in his homecoming debut. And this season, he has 25 points in 25 games played, so 11 goals, 14 assists for 25 points, 25 games played. He was named November Rookie Star of the Month, and he's third in rookies among points. Of course, the first is Matej Michkov for 27, and the second is Lane Hudson with 26. All right, St. Louis Blues. We see some defensive improvements from the St. Louis Blues. Currently 16, 16, and 4 of the season. I don't know why this is TH, but it should say of the season instead of TH season. And you can see the Blues brought in Cam Fowler in that trade with the Anaheim Ducks. Um, they have a good top four defensive pair: Cam Fowler, Colton Parayko, Philip Broberg, Justin Falk. And in the bottom pair, Ryan Suter, of course, he's a veteran defenseman on the team besides Cam Fowler. And of course, Tyler Tucker on that other bottom defensive pairs, but we're not really seeing that much from the bottom defensive pairs, and that could be a good change for the St. Louis Blues to improve. So that could be their Christmas present. All right, Tampa Bay Lightning. They need to hold on to the wild card spot. So I couldn't really think of nothing to say for here. And I know Jonas Johansson had a great night. I think he made 36 saves, and the Lightning's 4-0 shutout win over the Florida Panthers. So they split the back-to-back home sets right there. And the Lightning, you really want to see them in a wild card spot. You will see the Tampa Bay Lightning in at least one of the top three spots in the Atlantic Division. They are currently holding on to that first wild card spot ahead of the Ottawa Senators with 2 points. And if you take a look right here between them, Ottawa, Pittsburgh, Columbus, kind of seems tight. It kind of seems tight, especially with Ottawa, Tampa, and Pittsburgh. Between these three teams, and let me get my laser pointer. Between these three teams right here, it kind of seems tight. But of course, you got the Columbus Blue Jackets coming up the way too. But between Tampa, Ottawa, and Pittsburgh, it kind of seems tight. And so Tampa just needs to hold on for that wild card spot in the Eastern Conference. All right, so Toronto Maple Leafs would love to see Austin Matthews return to the lineup. Currently has 23 points in 24 games played, so 11 goals, 12 assists with 23 points in 24 games played. He last played on December 20th against the Buffalo Sabres, which was a 6-3 win for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think he did score in that game as well before leaving the game with an upper body injury. And so Leafs fans would love to see Austin Matthews return to the lineup for them. All right, for Utah Hockey Club, my first one was to have a great season. But now I'm thinking they need to have a healthy lineup, which in a way that they do, but we're missing some key players for Utah Hockey Club, such as Sean Dursey, Connor Ingram is out with an injury, Robert Bertuzzo's out with an injury, and Merrick Lemieux is out with an injury. So some of these injuries are like key injuries, but nonetheless, Utah Hockey Club is currently doing well so far this season, and it's been a blast watching them. I know Arizona Coyotes fans are, upset that the Coyotes had moved to Utah, but we all knew this was coming because they weren't going to play at Mullet Arena forever. So we kind of knew that they were going to be moving at some point. But Utah Hockey Club is currently 16, 12, and 6 of the season. They're 2 points out of a playoff spot behind the Dallas Stars, and they're 5th in the Central Division. So they're having a good season right now. But they just need some of those key players, at least some, solid players, if I should say, come back in the lineup for Utah Hockey Club. Because Connor Ingram would have loved to still see him be back in net. Sean Dursey, of course, he hasn't played a game so far this season. Would love to see him return. Robert Bertuzzo, I don't think he's played a game this season. Would love to see him return. So, yeah, that's all I'm saying is for Utah Hockey Club to have some of the solid players come back. But I know Clayton Keller, he's waiting to see. He's leading the way for Utah Hockey Club. Logan Cooley, another player that's leading the way for Utah Hockey Club. So, yeah, but you would love to have some of these solid players come back in the lineup as well. So that's all I'm saying. All right, Vancouver Canucks. One word, consistency. So we've seen the Vancouver Canucks. They win some games and then they lose some games. They win games and they lose games. So it's kind of like a roller coaster when you think about it. And last season, they finished second place in the Pacific Division. As of right now, they're in a wild card spot with 41 points. And you should take a look right here. You got Vancouver, you got Dallas, you got Calgary, you got Utah. It is tight in the Western Conference. But the Vancouver Canucks, I know they had some off-ice issues. At least some people were saying that between Elias Pettersson and JT Miller. But I'm pretty sure that beef is resolved. At least I hope, because these are two really good players for the Vancouver Canucks, and they don't need to have a beef going on. They don't need to have an argument going on. They just need to, win hockey games. That's all I'm saying is. So the Vancouver Canucks, they just need to have some of that consistency in their lineup. All right, Vegas Golden Knights. Their Christmas present is to stay red hot. So the Golden Knights, they were lights out heading into the Christmas break. They recently won 3-1 against the Anaheim Ducks, and they moved to 23-8-3 this season. They're first in the Pacific Division. I think they were first in the Pacific Division last year. I'm not totally 100% sure on that, but you should take a look at their last 10 games. They are 8-2-0 in their last 10. They won 4 straight, and they look to continue this momentum in the next game. I don't know when the next game is against. I'm not 100% sure, but like I said, they won 4 straight, and they will look to continue this hot momentum after the Christmas break. The next game, I think, is against the San Jose Sharks on Friday. So we'll see if they can, win 5 in a row in that game against San Jose. Washington Capitals. They will look to have Ovi back in the lineup. And, of course, Alex Ovechkin to break the goal record. So he currently has 25 points in 18 games played in his career, 15 goals, 10 assists for 25 points in 18 games played in his I don't know if I said career for that one. I meant to say season. He has 25 points in 18 games played this season. I think I said career. Excuse me if I'm getting my words mixed up. It's 32 teams I'm discussing right here. So I'm trying to be as short and concise with each of these teams and not go fully into depth. And I know I was kind of going fast right there. But yeah, 25 points and 18 games this season for Alex Ovechkin. 15 goals, 10 assists for 25 points in 18 games played this season. Currently has 868 goals in his career. And Wayne Gretzky, of course, has 894 goals in his career. And Ovi is 27 goals away from breaking that goal scoring record. And he last played on November 18th against Utah Hockey Club. And we didn't really expect this start from Ovi, considering that he's not in his prime anymore. But up to that point, he was certainly looking like prime Ovi. It was certainly looking like the Alex Ovechkin that we're used to seeing, the 50 goal scorer Alex Ovechkin, the 60 goal scorer Alex Ovechkin. So he was kind of looking like prime Ovi up until that point before he got injured in that game against Utah Hockey Club. All right, and then for the Winnipeg Jets, and this is the last one, another Vezina trophy for Connor Hellebuck. The Jets started off the season red hot, won 15 in their first 16 games to start the season. They're currently 25-10-1 of the season. And you should take a look at Connor Hellebuck's stats. He's the reason why, or at least one of the reasons why, the Jets are doing well. 22-5-1 with a 2.07 goals against average and a .927 save percentage. He's got 4 shutouts this season. And he's won the Vezina Trophy 2 times in his career, most recently being last season. And he also won the William Jennings Trophy last season. And it would be great to see Connor Hellebuck win another Vezina Trophy. All right, and that's going to do it for this video. So as always, leave a comment down below. Make sure to like and subscribe to the TG Hockey channel. Make sure to follow the Hockey Talk with TG podcast on all your podcast streaming platforms. So on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. It airs every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 11:30 a.m. to noon Central Time, 12:30 p.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Time, and 9:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Time. And while you're at it, make sure to give the Hockey Talk with TG podcast a 5-star rating so it can go out to many, many more people. Really do appreciate that from you guys. Hopefully you guys have, great Merry Christmas, a great Happy Holidays. spending time with your family. And as I'm recording this video, it's currently Christmas Eve. It is soon to be Christmas. And yeah, like I said, hope you guys have a great, Merry Christmas and happy holidays to you all. And I'll see you guys next time.